All right, so this week I'm out in Glacier National Park, and I'm often traveling alone, and I love taking self-portraits in nature. And so today I want to show you kind of how I set my camera up and some tips and tricks to get some awesome self-portraits out in some beautiful landscapes. So don't think of these as selfie shots. Don't think of this as like taking a photo with the phone or with a camera. It's a totally different perspective. This is more of an artistic landscape shot with a subject. And it's hard to do that when you don't have somebody to shoot that you're taking a photo of, or somebody shooting you that's a photographer. So setting it up to get your own shots. I accidentally happened upon taking these. I was out in Yosemite in 2018, and I was walking out in the field. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a shot of myself walking in the field. So I set my remote timer at the time, walked out, and wherever I stood is where I got the shot. And that turned out to be something that I really liked the perspective of that. I was like, oh, that's me in the shot. That's pretty cool. I need to do some more of that. So on that trip, we were out west doing a bunch of national parks, and so I started taking some more. And now when I go places, I look for spots that are like, oh, it'd be awesome to stand there. If I could get to that spot on that rock or that viewpoint, it would give me a great self-portrait shot. And so I've got a ton from around the world of places that I've taken these self-portraits. One of the most important things to do is set your camera in interval mode. I'm working on a Sony, but this pretty much will work on any other camera with the interval setting. I don't use the self-timer. I don't use a remote function because self-timer usually times out at 10 seconds max that you can set it, and sometimes the spot you need to get the shot is farther away than what you can get to in 10 seconds. Sometimes I am a good distance away from my camera, and I want to make sure that I'm getting the shot that I want. And so if I'm using a remote or a timer or an app, I can't guarantee that that's going to happen if I lose connection or if it times out. So interval is the way to go. Depending on the shot, depending on the setup, determines what your interval needs to be. Typically, I'm going to set it to like 1 second, taking a photo every 1 second. If I'm going a long ways away, I may set the camera to start at like 20 seconds and then take a photo every 1 second. So set your interval to every 1 or 2 seconds. And then if you're going to be taking something like a waterfall or like a night scene, then you would set your interval to be longer than your shutter speed. So if I'm taking a 5-second shutter or a 10-second shutter or even like a 20-second shutter for some star photos, then I would set my interval to be longer than that so that it would start every so often after those shots take. One thing to keep in mind too is as you go and you put yourself in the spot that you want to take the shot, you've got to stand there long enough to get a good shot. If you're slower shutters especially, you've got to stand there more than just the time, because you may arrive at that spot in the middle of the first set, and then if you walk away or move in the middle of the second set, then all the shots are blurry. So you want to stand there for at least the amount of time of your shutter speed. You want to stay there at least 3 times that long and stand still. So if you've got a 5-second shutter, you need to stand still for 15 seconds to hold, to make sure that you get the shot. So if you want to set up a different pose, just move and put yourself in that position. I try to take at least 4 or 5 different positions. I'll move a little bit left and right just to make sure my framing is correct, up, forward, and backwards. I try to find the spot that I want to stand, and I try to put my manual focus. I usually will tap that spot. If I can tap it and it will recognize it, I will tap that spot and then put it in manual. Another option is to zoom in and adjust your manual focus to the spot that you want to be in. It's not always infinity, just because if you're focusing on mountains in the far distance, but you're standing a lot closer, then you're going to be out of focus. So I try to set that focus, put it in manual, because autofocus is dependable, but if you're not standing there and you can't see what it's focusing on, many times I have it focus on the background instead of me, especially if I'm small in the shot. I like to be small in the photo and show perspective around me. The first key thing is framing. You've got to put yourself in a position to stand out from the background. You want to incorporate the scenery, but you've got to make sure that you are the subject of the shot. So incorporating a waterfall or an overlook or a lake or a river or any kind of shot, you want to stand out. You don't want to blend into the background. You've got to make sure that you're isolated. It depends on where your shot is and what you're shooting. So I'm walking down the trail back from Virginia Falls and Glacier, and I just got some pretty good self-portrait shots with a waterfall. I really like to get the slow shutter stuff. I had it on different shutter speeds just as the sun was going behind the clouds and coming out. But I think it was mostly around a second, a little more, a little less, And the thing is, you've got to stand there for at least 3 or 4 seconds to get a shot where you're not moving a little bit and you're blurry, or the waterfall's blowing a different way, or people come in front of your shot, just a bunch of different things. And so you just got to be patient. There was quite a few people coming in and out while I was there, but just hang around. Most people come up, get a shot, get a few pictures, and then leave. It'll clear out. Usually there's a gap in the people that come in waves. It tends to be. So I just got out there and just waited around, got probably 6 or 7 different shots. I don't ever like getting just one. I mean, I'll always check them and review them for focus and for point of focus, but also focus for me standing still, like to see if I've got a shot that I like, where the framing is what I want. If I'm moving in the shot, I want to make sure that my shirt's not blowing in the midst of the waterfall or anything like that. So checking focus and checking framing, which is important, but also just being patient and getting a few different shots, different angles, different perspectives. Always is better to have more than you need when I get back to the edit. When you come back, you're going to have a ton of photos, but the thing is, you can always delete the photos that you don't want. There's going to be a lot of you walking up and you walking back and you moving that you're not going to like, and it's easier to take more and get all the shots that you need and delete the ones that aren't good. So another big thing is taking advantage of the focal length compression. If you've got a background that's way far away, if you can back your camera up away from you to then take advantage of that compression, you can pull yourself and the background a lot closer together. I like those shots when there is ability to get depth. I don't like shooting the easy wide shot, standing, for instance, close to a deep background and you being really close. If the background, if whatever the mountains or the waterfall that you're trying to get a shot of is far away, then on a wide lens, that stuff just looks super small and you look really big. Back your camera up, zoom in, and frame the shot. That will pull everything in closer together to the subject. So the color of your clothes makes a big difference. Try to wear something that's going to stand out from the background. I typically go with red or yellow. Not always, sometimes different colors work well, but try to think of something that's going to stand out from the background, that's going to make you the subject of the shot, not blend in, but stand out where everything else around you in nature is going to be maybe blue or green. Try to pick out something that's going to stand out and help you, the subject, be isolated. Another thing to take into consideration is the lighting. You want to be in a spot where the lighting highlights the subject, highlights you more than the background. So just think through what lighting situations you have. Obviously, golden hour is the best time to be out. I love these shots because it shows the place that I went and it shows me in that place, but it also shows perspective and scale to the size and the vastness of the location that I'm in. So these are one of my favorite things to take, and I take them everywhere I go. All right, so now that you have all these ideas, I want you to take them and put them to work on your next trip, and I look forward to seeing what you make out of it.